Hi everyone, welcome to What in the World is Happening, a show about Maitreya, the world teacher, and the masters of wisdom. We broadcast live every Saturday on Zoom and Facebook Live. And at the end of every show, we do a great little meditation called Transmission Meditation. It's simple, powerful, non-denominational. It's a great way to help the world. So we hope you can stick with us and participate for that as well. Today's topic is the dawning of a new age explained. So we're excited to present that. The New Age, some of you know it as the Age of Aquarius or the Golden Age, the Age of Light, the Age of Maitreya, the Age of the Mother. It's a very exciting time, and we're in this transitional stage right now. So we're going to talk about that as well. And if you have any questions or want to comment, we have Cielito and John doing tech support. Please submit the questions. We'll try and address them during the show. So I'll do some quick introductions. My name is Tim Butskis. I am broadcasting from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. With me is Sabina Qureshi, also from Edmonton. Hi, Sabina.
Hi, Tim, and welcome everybody to the show. We're glad you could make it today.
And we have a special guest speaker, Mr. Dick Larson from Southern California. Hi, Dick.
Hi, thank you for having me on the show. Welcome, everybody.
Great to have you. Yeah, we compiled all some great information we're going to present. And before we get into it, we should say that a source of a lot of the information we're talking about today is Benjamin Creme, who was a student of the Ageless Wisdom teachings. These teachings are have been around since the beginning of the human experience, inspired all the major religious traditions. Many individuals and great teachers throughout our history have learned from the Ageless Wisdom teachings. And they have now, thanks to the work of many great disciples and students of these teachings, become available to anyone who would like to put them to use and to learn about them. Benjamin Creme is one of these individuals, probably the most recent to publish books about this and about the change of ages, the Masters of Wisdom. He toured around the world for over 40 years, completely volunteer, talking about Maitreya, the Masters of Wisdom, our divine nature, and the Ageless Wisdom teachings. He's compiled 17 books, and there's some that we have some free downloads. We'll share those resources with you at the end of the show if you'd like to read up on those as well.
Excuse me, Tim, what I'd like to just add to what you're saying is that the difference perhaps between the Ageless Wisdom teachings or the Ageless Wisdom simply as it has been known through the ages and what now is available to people through the writings of these most recent disciples is there's a level of detail and a level of understanding that perhaps that wasn't really available before. Much of it was in early writings, very early writings, for example, Tibetan Buddhism or in Sanskrit theology. But to the broad public, this type of level of understanding, of scientific understanding, really, of our nature and the cosmos, our place in it, all of this was not accessible. And so it's a huge step forward to have that information readily available. You can just pick up a book and read it. That's quite amazing.
Not only that, but Benjamin Creme stepped down that information so that it's much more easily understood by everyone.
That's right. His writing is very readable. It's conversational. You feel as though you're really being talked to by somebody like the man on the street. It's a completely regular type of way of speaking, vocabulary. There's nothing too difficult or abstruse about it at all.
Yeah, it feels very relevant right now when you read some of this information. Very applicable to this time. Very good point. So let's talk about the New Age.
Yes, this is what our topic is for the day. And we are now literally experiencing the birth pangs of a new age. With every birth, there is some pain involved, and that certainly includes moving from one age to the other. Now, here's what happens. We're talking about astronomy, the movement of heavenly bodies in cosmos, not astrology, the stuff that's printed in newspapers for entertainment. This is real astronomy. Our solar system, and consequently our planet, is located in the center of 12 great constellations. These constellations are very powerful, have tremendous energies, and about every 2,000, 2,250 years, we come into alignment with each of these constellations one at a time. And when we're in alignment with that constellation, we receive its energies. And those energies help the planet evolve and everything on the planet, including us, evolve. And so for the last 2,000, by the way, astronomers call this the precession of the equinox. We call it the New Ages, the movement of the ages. So for the last 2,000 years, we have been in alignment with the great constellation Pisces and receiving its energies. And those energies include individuality. Man has come out of the herd. Dedication to an ideal. It was dedication to the ideal of freedom that saved the world in World War I and World War II. The energies in 1625 started moving out, the Piscean energies, slowly withdrawing. And what's happened is all of the institutions that we have on this planet were all built with Piscean energy. The educational system, the healthcare system, the governments, everything you can think of was built with Piscean energy. Piscean energy is being withdrawn, so those structures, those institutions are collapsing. They're crystallizing, they don't have any real effective energy anymore, and so they're collapsing, and that's all they can do because they don't have any energy behind them anymore, and that's why they don't work. We can throw as much money at education as we want to, or healthcare as we want to, and it's still not going to satisfy humanity's needs. We need to reconstruct, to reinvent those institutions based on the new energies of Aquarius so that they can be powerful and effective institutions again. So what are the energies of Aquarius? Well, starting in 1675, we started to receive the energies of the next constellation, Aquarius. It goes in reverse order of what you're used to in the newspapers. Aquarius, so we're coming into alignment with Aquarius. We're actually about halfway between the two now. And whenever that happens, you have a crisscross of energies and you have chaos. And that's what's happening on our planet right now. Very, very evident, both physically with all the storms and tornadoes and hurricanes and earthquakes, and socially with humanity and with the planet ecologically. So the two primary energies of Aquarius are very different from Pisces. They're about cooperation and synthesis. Instead of individuals, powerful individuals making changes, it's going to be the groups making changes. Aquarian energy supports group activity. That's why people marching in the streets in America could save the healthcare system, because they had this tremendous Aquarian energy behind them. Marching in the streets is very, very powerful, very effective now because it's a group action, and Aquarian energy supports that action. So now we're looking at going from competition to cooperation, that kind of thing, from individuality to the synthesis of the groups. And so Aquarian energies will lead us into sharing, not individual sharing, although you can if you want, but nations sharing, into justice, where everybody is treated equally, and into peace finally. It is coming. According to Benjamin Creme and the Ageless Wisdom, which makes a great deal of sense to us, or we wouldn't be talking to you about it, there is peace on the way. And we'll talk more about that as we go on. And these energies, like I said, support group action. So right now, we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and all kinds of new things are happening. The old is breaking down, and we're very slowly getting the idea that we need to rebuild. We need to make changes.
Dick, we have a question from the audience. What exactly is collapsing? You talk about things breaking down and collapsing. What is it that's collapsing?
Well, the government doesn't represent the people anymore. So that's not being effective. There are millions and millions and millions of people on the planet who have no health care. That's not working anymore. We're not reaching people anymore. We reached a certain level of the population, and now it's not working.
So would you say
just
that
discovering
it's people's trust in, for example, you say the government doesn't represent the people anymore. So
Right.
Is it people's trust in the government that's breaking down?
Well, the whole system is breaking down because it's supposed to be representative of the people. And in the Middle East, we've got all these dictators. And so the governments are not working like they're supposed to work. The healthcare system, the education system is just not working. All we're doing is teaching people about careers and not about life. And we're going to talk more about that. But these old institutions are not making people happy. Here's another one, religion. The religions of the world are losing people left and right. Why? Because it's no longer satisfying their needs. People know there must be more to life than what their religion is saying in general. And so the religions are not holding their people anymore either. They're losing them in droves.
So in other words, these institutions and these different systems, they still may exist, but they don't.
Oh, sure.
They don't have any real value for a large number of people, and they're not serving the purposes for which they were originally set up.
Very well said.
Okay.
All right.
And of course,
Here we are, the Age of Aquarius. Now, one of the things I didn't mention, and I should have, is that when we enter a new age, we always get a great teacher sent by the spiritual kingdom and from the spiritual kingdom to humanity to give the next step forward, the next teachings. You know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, that's what's happened 2,000 years ago. It was actually two teachers. It was the Buddha and Jesus. Buddha taught the wisdom of God. Jesus taught the love of God. Two great lessons for humanity. We're not learning them very well, but they were taught. Now it's been 2,000 years. It's time for the next great teacher, and that teacher is the Lord Maitreya.
we have a nice image here of the water carrier representing Aquarius, that age. That's Maitreya, the water carrier. It's a great teacher. When we're talking about the masters of wisdom, these are individuals who have evolved out of the human kingdom into the spiritual kingdom, or what's called the spiritual kingdom. So they're like our elders who have evolved over many, 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 many lifetimes. And
so
Maitreya.
Can I ask you a question, Tim? When you say they've evolved out of the human kingdom, how do you do that, evolving out of the human kingdom?
Well, when we say master, it means they've mastered themselves. So by demonstrating their divinity perfectly, demonstrating perfect love, perfect wisdom. So through all the ups and downs of the human experience, which they know very well, they know all of the challenges we face because they've been through them. And so they have mastered themselves through that process of evolution.
And so they have learned all the lessons that planet Earth has to teach, right, Tim?
That's right, exactly.
They don't need to come back to planet Earth anymore. There's nothing more for them to learn.
Yeah, they go on to larger things and they continue to evolve. Everything in the universe is evolving.
And so that's something we're also doing that, right? We're also going through that.
Absolutely. We're all in essence, we are divine in essence. As we learn those lessons and demonstrate, we eventually too become masters of wisdom. And move on in evolution, like everything. And so Maitreya is the sort of the head of the spiritual hierarchy for the planet. So the masters of wisdom would call him their master, their leader. But it's more about how much responsibility is taken on and awareness and consciousness. So it's not a leader in the sense that we would normally think of, as in our standard hierarchical systems. Hierarchy is different when we talk about spiritual hierarchy. So it's a sense of responsibility, consciousness, a demonstration of love. And Maitreya embodies love for the planet. So he's a very incredible conscious being who takes on a huge responsibility, who is fully aware of everything that humanity is facing now and the changes of ages and all the energies entering the planet. So a huge responsibility. And he's decided to enter into the physical plane. So there are several masters of wisdom, including Maitreya, who are now on the physical plane to help with this change of ages, to guide us, to teach us, inspire us for the age of Aquarius, not to tell us what to do. There's no infringement of free will. It's inspiration, guidance, wise teaching, hence the name the world teacher, which is the preferred term for Maitreya.
And you could almost say they are like the midwives at the birth of humanity's new awareness, in the sense that they're helping that process, but they're not trying to control it. As you were saying, Tim, there's no infringement of our free will. We're the ones who have to make the changes. We're the ones who are awakening, and they're here to help us, to guide us, but not to impose anything.
That's a great way to look at it, the midwives.
Yeah. And I think also another interesting thing about this is the realization that we're not alone, that these elder brothers and sisters, if you want to say it like that, or these elders, the masters of wisdom, that they've always been here. Now we're becoming aware of them in a new way because they're emerging onto the physical plane to live with us, excuse me, in our cities and wherever we live. But they have always been with us. They've always been here on the earth, but they've been keeping to themselves. They've been in high mountainous places, in deserts, and they've had connections with people through individual master-disciple relationships, but they haven't made themselves publicly known. So this is really a big event that they're coming forward in this way, publicly.
Yeah, it's a closer relationship, and I guess we're ready.
He made his own body, can't be killed, doesn't need to eat or sleep, but he can shake your hand, and it's just like a normal body.
We have a question from a listener who says, what should we do? I'm confused regarding what to believe anymore. What should I focus on related to changes in the world?
Yeah, well,
It's a good question.
it depends on what your spiritual background is. If you have a religion and that's working for you, stick with that. In terms of the future, my suggestion would be stay tuned. See if the teachings of the masters, which will happen imminently, I mean, within a very few years, maybe less, make any sense to you. If they do, you can act on them, and have some hope for the future. Don't let this chaos that's going on now and the pandemic get you down. Hold on to hope. The biggest thing we want people to know from this presentation is that there's lots of hope for the future. There's no reason to try to dismiss the future, because it's coming and it's big and it's wonderful.
And I think in terms of what to believe, that is a question each of us needs to answer individually based on our own inner sense of what's true. And I think each of us has to do that personally. It's a personal kind of work. You will know what to believe or what feels right to you if you just look within your own heart and in your own mind. Just look and see what feels right, what feels true to you. I can say personally that I grew up in a home with one Christian parent and one Muslim parent. Neither of my parents were people who went to their church or mosque, so we didn't go to the church or the mosque, but I learned about those religions at home as a child. And I remember being confused when I was quite young as to which one I was supposed to believe, which one's right. Because I kind of thought of it like politics, like you have to choose who you're going to vote for. And so as a small child, I remember having a conversation with God where I said, well, what am I supposed to believe? Which one's right? And in my memory, now I may be making this up, but I think I remember this, that I got an answer, something like, don't worry about which one you choose, they're all right. And also you don't have to choose any of them because I'm everywhere, God is everywhere. So in terms of belief systems, I think it's trust your own heart, and you'll find the right way, what works for you. And as Dick was saying, if you already have a tradition or religion and it works for you, stay with it. Maitreya himself has said he's not here to found a new religion, and that people should continue in their chosen tradition, whatever that might be. He's here to teach the art of self-realization, and his priority is on people who are suffering now in the world. He always talks about the starving, that nourishing food and water, that the basic essentials for life, that's where his priority is right now, because until you have those things, you can't really focus on anything else. So he's very much hands-on, practical kind of teacher in that sense. His interest is in the well-being of all humanity.
And Maitreya says that he doesn't want us to believe in him. He says, just hear what I have to say, see if any of it makes sense to you, run it through your life's experience, through your common sense, see if it makes sense to you, and if it does, feel free to act on it. It's actions that count more than beliefs, according to Maitreya. So yeah, I agree with everything Sabina said and more. Maitreya himself said, if you're in a religion and it's working for you, I come for you. If you're not in a religion, I come for you too. I come for everybody. So you just need, we each need to, it's very personal. Like Sabina said, very personal decision, what our belief system is, what our sense of ethics is. And we each have to just keep sorting that out every day that we live. We sort out what our priorities are, what we think is important, what we think life is all about, and what we should do about that. So the world teacher, like Sabina said, his first priorities are very basic stuff: food and water for everybody, housing and shelter for everybody, education for everyone as a human right, healthcare for everyone on the planet as a human right. And the United Nations has already said these four things are human rights and should be available to everybody, regardless of income level or education level or whatever. Everybody has a right to those four things. And then repair of the environment. Maitreya has basically said it's now or never. We have less time than we think to start fixing this planet and cleaning it up so that it will continue to serve humanity for hundreds of thousands of years to come. There's a long time to go yet on this planet. The end of the world is nowhere near, according to Maitreya and the Ageless Wisdom.
Yeah, what really we're witnessing is the end of an age, but not the end of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the masters. Who are they? And Tim already talked about some of this. They have many names. They're called the spiritual hierarchy, the lords of compassion, the custodians of the ageless wisdom, and so on.
Yeah, and as we were saying, I mean, there are many masters already in the physical plane in the world. And the key to the Age of Aquarius, I think, is to demonstrate unity and diversity. And so Maitreya is in the physical plane, as well as several masters of wisdom, to demonstrate just that, how we can work as a group of strong individuals working seamlessly in unison and demonstrating unity and diversity. And we'll see that in the nations as well, where each nation preserves its culture, its identity, but can work with barrier-free with other nations as a unit, recognizing our essential oneness.
I think that what you say about unity in diversity, I think we're seeing that so well expressed in the marches and the protests that have been taking place around the world. For example, for Black Lives Matter, we're seeing people of every stripe out on the street together, united in a particular focus, in a particular awareness about a justice that needs to be done. But everyone comes to it from their own place. I mean, that's what's so beautiful about this energy of Aquarius, is that it includes everybody, no matter what your background is, no matter where you come from in life or where you are now in life, you are part of this. And to me, that's thrilling, absolutely thrilling.
Everyone can contribute, everyone can create, be involved. And the masters will teach us the laws of nature, laws of cause and effect, reincarnation, all of these. They understand these energies that are coming in and can help guide us in that regard. And so we can learn our divine nature, learn how to treat everything as sacred, understand our place. And they know the plan of evolution, the plan for the planet. And so all of that they bring to offer to help humanity.
Our information is there are 63 of these great masters in our spiritual kingdom. They're the senior members of the spiritual kingdom, and that they each have a piece of the puzzle. You know, the whole plan. Maitreya understands the whole plan. A couple other masters do, but most of the masters have an area of responsibility as part of this evolutionary plan. And so they're responsible for inspiring humanity along those lines, whatever those lines may be, whether it's the arts or science or healthcare or education, whatever their area of expertise is, that's what they're responsible for. So it's a huge responsibility. They do it gladly. They serve out of love. That's all they do, is serve. Every moment of their awareness is spent serving.
Well, and that's something I was thinking about earlier too, is that the masters share their consciousness with each other. They have what we would call group consciousness. So they're aware together, they work together at the consciousness level as well. And earlier, Dick, when you were saying, you know, if you have a religion and you're happy in it, Maitreya comes for you. If you don't have a religion, Maitreya comes for you as well. I was thinking, it's so different from the usual idea of, for example, you know, that poster probably many people are familiar with, Uncle Sam Wants You,
All right.
for military conscription.
You.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, well, Maitreya comes for me. Oh no, you know, what do I have to do? But it's the opposite of that. It's all about service. That is, the masters are here to serve us. They're not here to demand anything from us. Maitreya is not here to demand anything from us.
Or make us do anything. They won't do that. We have free will and it's sacred.
That's right. So they're here to help and guide in the way that you would imagine an older brother or sister or a parent would be helping or guiding a child, but not in a dictatorial way, as Dick said, not in a controlling way, because they know that the only way we learn is through making our own mistakes. Free will is sacred to them, so they can't interfere with that. They don't want to. I mean, it wouldn't serve any purpose.
Right.
We have a question here before we move on from
good.
Susan. It says, I don't want to come, in regards to reincarnation, I don't want to come back when I die. Do I have a choice?
Yeah,
Well, I'd like to say one thing right off the bat in answer to that is that the I who says, I don't want to come back when I die, this version of myself, of yourself, who you are right now in this lifetime, won't come back, in the sense that our understanding of reincarnation is that in each lifetime, when you're born, you don't have any recollection of your previous lifetimes. And not only that, but in one lifetime you might be a man, in another a woman. In one lifetime you might come from a very poor family, in another lifetime a very rich family. All the conditions can change. What is the same is your point of evolution. All of what you've gained in terms of your growth and learning through all your lifetimes, all of that goes with you. You never lose any of that. And your essential self at the level of your soul, that is immutable, unchangeable. That is who is incarnating over and over. But most of us,
oh, I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, most of us identify, our sense of our identity is our personality and our physical self. We don't think of ourselves as a soul.
Right, that's not who comes back.
Right, we usually say, I have a soul, rather than I am a soul, right?
Yeah, the soul is eternal, and it picks up lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and it always remembers where you left off, evolution-wise, in your previous lifetime. So you always pick up where you left off. Now, I want to say to that person, if your life has had a lot of suffering, and it kind of sounds like maybe it has, if your life has had a lot of suffering, the ageless wisdom tells us that you're burning up tremendous amounts of karma that will launch you into a wonderful next lifetime. So I can tell you right now, you should probably really look forward to your next lifetime, because it's probably going to be one of those Teflon lifetimes. You know, people like this, no matter what, and they're not necessarily spiritual, but whatever they do, they always land on their feet. No matter what happens to them, they always come out of it okay. That's what I call those Teflon lifetimes, where they probably really, really suffered in their last lifetime. They burned up all this negative karma, and now they're just launching into this wonderful lifetime where stuff just happens naturally for them, just happens well. That's probably the lifetime you're going to have next time.
Well, and part of the question, oh, sorry, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, you're going to say the next part of the question is, can I come back as an eagle?
Well, actually, I was going just back to the last part.
As an eagle.
Oh.
I was going back to, do I have a choice? And I think the personality, who we are as a personality, doesn't have a choice, in the sense that this is coming from the soul level. However, I do believe that at the soul level, if there's a need for a pause, like for a break, before returning to incarnation, then I think that does happen. That's my understanding of it. There's a lot more information I haven't read in the books by Alice Bailey, which you could look into if you're interested in the details on reincarnation. But I believe that not everybody returns to incarnation equally rapidly. Some people take a longer time in between lifetimes.
Very, very rare that you would come back as some kind of creature other than a human, because that's called the transmigration of souls. And that almost never happens. It happened in the past a lot more when black magic was around. That's real bad magic, where people could actually be turned into pigs, literally. That's the transmigration of souls. It almost never happens anymore. You will come back as a person because that's who you are. You are a human soul. And so your soul will take another human, not an animal. You're not an animal soul. See, here's the difference. The difference between us and the animal kingdom, primarily soul-wise, is this. Humans have individual souls. Animals have group souls. So there's one soul for all the horses, one soul for all the dogs, one soul for all the cats, and for all the eagles, and so on. So when those animals come back, they sometimes remember or have some memory of the lifetime of another cat that lived before them, before this cat was born. But there's only one soul for the animal kingdom. They will start to get individual souls as the animal kingdoms evolve. The first animals to get individual souls, now this is thousands of years ahead, but we're told, will be horses, elephants, camels, and dogs. Horses, elephants, camels, and dogs will be the first that will have individual souls, because those are the four that have served humanity the most. They have worked with humanity the most. And so they will necessarily advance before the other animals in the kingdom.
But just to clarify, it's not because it's a reward for them for having worked with humanity. No. It's as a result of how much our mental energy has been stimulating them through time, because that's what our relationship with domesticated animals works on. And that's the stimulation that our minds, the energy of our minds, stimulates their sort of proto-minds. They don't have a mind in the sense that we do, but their mind is like a seed, it's developing. And so the energy from ours stimulates theirs. And that's the relationship we have with them. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. They help us, and we also help them.
Before we move on from this slide about the masters, I'd just like to say one more thing. Sabina earlier was talking about how the masters are consciousness, and this very high level of consciousness and awareness, conscious awareness. And what I wanted to mention was that the language of the spiritual kingdom, the way they communicate to each other, is telepathically. They speak to each other in telepathy. And we humans, as we evolve, will start to be able to do telepathy as well. But that's the natural language of the spiritual kingdom, is telepathy. I just wanted to mention that before we move on.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, let's enter the future. Put your sunglasses on.
All right, the future brings. Future, yeah. We've been talking about how this is a new age and things are going to change, and how the ageless wisdom gives us information about life and about what to anticipate and so on. It's wonderful reading. If you haven't read any of Benjamin Crem's books, I really suggest you check them out. They're on Amazon. We're not here to sell books, but you might want to check them out. Plus there's 4 free ones you can download. We'll talk about in a minute. So what we did, we divided some of the aspects of the future. We're going to tell you what the future is going to be like now. Some of it will happen very quickly in our lifetimes. Most of it will gradually evolve and happen over our next few lifetimes. But here's the thing. Every time you come back, Maitreya will be at the center of the world, making suggestions, giving advice. He'll never tell us what to do, but he'll make suggestions, and then we have free will. We can decide or not decide if we want to do that. He will be at the center of life. He's going to travel the world. He's going to speak in all the different countries publicly. I believe Jesus is going to do that as well. He's also back. And they work together all the time. They're best friends, best buddies, and you'll see them both on television. But let's go forward here. Aquarian future, personal growth and self-realization. A new sense of oneness. Humanity is going to start to feel together instead of separate like we are now. We're going to sense that we're a brotherhood and sisterhood of humanity, and that we're all brothers and sisters, children of the one God by many names, the one God. Sharing, not giving up your life savings. We're talking about nations sharing their excess production with other nations. We'll talk about that more, so that everybody has enough to survive and to live. And justice, where everyone is treated equally and justice abounds. Right now, justice is hard to find in the world. But that'll be part of that new sense of oneness that will come in this age of Aquarius.
Well, and it's starting already, isn't it? This sense of oneness. We're seeing it really everywhere. People are starting to feel it and act on it, and they're starting to demand justice, a real justice.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of sharing going on with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We've also seen a lot of the Black Lives Matter and the Me Too and so on, justice coming from that. We're taking steps. We're getting there.
That's right. Think of the slogan that we've seen in so many marches: no justice, no peace, right?
Yes. There's be a new understanding of death. Well, we won't see death as the end. We will see it as a shift in consciousness only. I love what Deepak Chopra said. He was asked, what happens when you die? And he said, well, imagine that you're on a telephone call from somebody on a landline, and somebody cuts the telephone wire. What happens to you? Nothing. You just can't communicate with them anymore. That's exactly what happens when you die. Nothing. You're still conscious, you're just not in the body anymore. And we'll start to see it as a shift of consciousness. Nothing to fear at all.
In fact, in the Alice Bailey books, what's said is, the Master Djwhal Khul says that birth is much more traumatic than death. In fact, death is a very painless procedure. There may be pain in the physical body prior to death, but the actual moment of death, when you leave your physical body, is completely painless.
And any pain before prior to death is very useful because it's burning up karma.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. The desire to know and be closer to God will become paramount for millions. What's going to happen is money is going to lose its priority in people's minds and in their lives. And it's not going to be God anymore. What's going to be God is God. The real God is going to step forward, and people are we're growing more than we know. The masters see our growth. They see us as light, and they can tell that our lights are getting brighter and brighter and brighter than we even know. And so what's going to happen is, as we continue to grow and the masters make us more aware through their teachings of the spiritual kingdom, we will become much more interested in and closer to God. That's something to really look forward to.
And the whole concept of what God is also is going to expand and grow. Benjamin Krem talks about God not as a person or a figure that's sitting somewhere up on a chair somewhere in heaven, but in terms of intelligence, divine intelligence and consciousness, and that this is everywhere throughout cosmos. So you can find different manifestations of it at different levels, but there's no one figure. I think it's a fascinating way to enter into the whole question of what is God? And it's worth exploring.
Invocation is a science. Everything is energy. We know that. We know that everything is vibrating, everything is moving. Even in a block of concrete or a block of granite rock, there are electrons spinning around the nucleus of atoms. Everything is vibrating. Well, invocation is a science of sound. And the masters are totally on top of this. They know it in backwards and forwards. And we're going to start using invocation to invoke. What it does is it brings down or brings in the masters and their energy and their wisdom and the energy of God. And what's going to happen, the ageless wisdom says God and the masters are not interested at all in being worshiped. They are not interested in that relationship at all. They want a unity, cooperative relationship with us, not one of worship where we put them on a pedestal. Because the masters were us. You know, they were walking around the planet. They made all the mistakes we've made. That's why they don't judge us. They'll never judge us. They just love us because they've been there. They've killed people. They've abandoned people. They've made all the mistakes we've made. So they understand us completely. And so invocation will slowly start to take the place of worship and of prayer.
And it's a very different relationship also to that which you're invoking, because you're calling for it rather than beseeching and pleading. It's kind of a different power relationship as well.
Okay, acceptance of the fact that all planets are inhabited and we are all brothers and sisters. Yes, the masters will help us see, and the space brothers and sisters, the UFOs, once the masters come forward, the UFOs are going to be right out in the open. I mean, they're going to be, the masters will introduce us to our space brothers and sisters. They'll be all over the place, and we'll become very well acquainted with the fact that they're humans just like us, and that they come from our solar system, not from Sirius or Pleiades. They have their own societies, that they come from the planets around us. All the planets are inhabited. That's what Benjamin Krem said. That's what cosmos is. It's life. It's humanity. That's what it all is. And even though our planet is the only one in our solar system that can have physical, solid physical, liquid physical life, the other planets have life. They're just not solid physical like us. They're physical, but it's a very high, fine level of physical, kind of like oxygen. You can't see oxygen, you can't smell it, you can't touch it, but we know it's real, we know it's there. Well, that's what their bodies are. They're very high vibration physical. They see each other, even though we can't see them. When we see them, they have intentionally lowered their vibration to become temporarily physical. They can do that with their UFOs and with their bodies. And so when they lower the vibration, we see them. So we only see them when they want us to, but they're there all the time. They're there all the time. And we're going to accept that's what cosmos is. It's humanity. And we're all brothers and sisters of God, you know?
Well, and what's interesting is, just as you say, that we're all brothers and sisters, and all there is throughout cosmos is humanity, is human beings. Just as we were talking earlier about domestic animals, they are all in the process of becoming human. And Benjamin Krem has said that everything in cosmos either is becoming human, is human, or has been human. So we really stand at the midpoint.
Yeah.
So we get to take our place in the heavens here. Our new understanding, it's like a big renaissance. It expands our vision for this age.
Absolutely.
The cosmos. And it'll spread to health, as you were talking about the etheric, how the Space Brothers work that way. That also, our understanding of that will help with our health. The etheric field, the auric field, energizes the organs of the body, and understanding how that plays and vivifies the body, the physical, will expand, along with technology and discovery, our understanding of our health. And
that's what, just to clarify, that's what Dick was talking about when he talked about this very fine level of the physical, like oxygen, that you can't see or smell or touch, but it's there. He was talking about etheric matter, which is physical matter, but of a very fine level, higher, more fine than gas. And that's what you're referring to, Tim, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So our understanding and discovery of that, and how it works and functions, and how we can vivify. I mean, many of the alternative medicines have already delved into the etheric and chi, if you will, and how it works with the body, with the points, the meridians, the chakras, and so on. But that will expand and will work in coordination with Western medicine to improve the overall health enormously of mankind.
For etheric physical, just think of an aura. That's a good example of etheric. People that can see aura have the beginnings of etheric vision. Most of us don't.
And organic farming, and that's something that's already begun. And more people are aware of how important it is not to be ingesting hormones, pesticides, etc. This is taking on greater importance year by year, and it will continue to do that in the further future. Most farming will be organic. I mean, really, it'll become the majority of what's farmed will be done organically, simply because it'll be obvious that there's no benefit to doing it in any other way.
And of course, healing water wells will be discovered one by one. There are many right now already. Maitreya, the water carrier, is magnetizing water wells around the world. Eventually 777 for the Age of Aquarius. So these water wells, this healing water, grounds some of these great cosmic energies of Aquarius, healing energies, and you can drink the water. Many people have had in some areas of the world, so there's one in Mexico, Tlacote, there's Nordernau in Germany. Many of these healing wells have reported astounding miracle healings of people who've tried this water. So Maitreya is going around and magnetizing several areas around the world. Scientifically, I think we've proven that it's lighter. That's about it so far.
Lighter
the
in weight,
atomic
yeah.
weight. Yeah.
Lighter in weight. So
Really interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Maitreya sends his energy. He blesses them by sending his energy through these springs, these natural springs. And like Tim said, that magnetizes the water. It changes it so that it is very, very powerful healing water. Much more, people have heard of Lourdes in France. These are much more powerful than that.
Right. Yeah, Lourdes has simply the healing energies. Some of these have also those cosmic energies, so it certainly adds a lot more to it.
If I may add one more thing, there's been water from the well in Tlacote, Mexico, that has been sent to what's the pharmacy in London?
Ainsworth's.
Ainsworth's Pharmacy in London. It's a homeopathic pharmacy, and they have made homeopathic pills and tablets of the Tlacote water. And you can, what it does, it boosts your immune system, helps you fight off illness and disease, and helps heal the body. And you can order those from Ainsworth's online. You can order Tlacote water tablets or pills. So it is available to humanity now and will become more so. And as everybody knows, homeopathic remedies, or as they're called, are very inexpensive. They're very affordable.
Yeah, and homeopathy will be much more accepted as well. I mean, it's
Big
gaining
time.
ground already. Yeah. We have a question from Susan. Where in the United States do we have one of these healing wells or pools? Does anyone know if there are any? I haven't heard of any.
There aren't any. But Benjamin Krem's information was that the first one in the US will be somewhere in Texas. And nobody knows where or when, because they're discovered. They have to be discovered naturally. People have to kind of stumble across them. Like the farmer in Tlacote, Mexico, who discovered the healing well, he had a sick dog, and his sick dog was drinking this water that was coming out of the ground. And after a little while, the dog got well. So he realized there's something going on here, you know? So he had the Mexican government invest and dig wells to get this water out. He took it to one of the local hospitals, gave it to patients. Most of those patients were healed. And so then they knew, so then he started giving the water away free of charge. By the way, it's closed now. You can't get any more water down there. So don't go to Tlacote to get water. But he did receive an award from the United Nations for his work in making that healing water free, available, free to people. He has since passed on, and his children have sold the ranch. But the water is in Ainsworth's Pharmacy now, so it's available.
Oh yeah, so alternative medicines will take their place beside more orthodox methods. So we'll have a blending of modalities and approaches, a holistic approach, a wonderful coordination of specialties to take care of the overall health. And with the new technology of light, new organs will be created in hours inside the body without surgery. And so surgery won't be necessary anymore.
And
Well,
that's
we're
something. So if you have a bad heart, you just go in and they give you a new heart, and it just grows inside you.
Yeah, I mean,
Amazing.
already scientists are working with genetic engineering. That'll go further where they can actually transmit the genetic code into the organ, and the
That's what it's
organ
all
will
about.
rebuild using the genetic code.
Absolutely. It'll just
Yeah,
be a matter of hours, and you'll have a new heart or a new kidney or a new liver or whatever. Yeah,
amazing.
and maybe even more than one. They can maybe do it a couple times, but that's what the future holds. I mean, this cutting people open is going to end. Isn't that something?
it's
That'd be
amazing.
wonderful.
Well, it'll probably become something that's seen as equally barbaric as we now consider, for example, being bled, something that was common in the
Right.
Middle Ages.
Bleeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a reduction of tension, fear. I mean, we have to look at mental health and overall health, reduction of tension, fear, greater leisure time to create, to self-realize, eradication of disease, purity, of course, with the good food and organic food, and a new meaning to life.
Yeah. People are going to live a lot longer. They're going to be hundreds of years. They're going to be 100 years old easy. I mean, and beyond, as time goes on. And it'll be productive life, or it would serve no purpose. So it's about, we will live a lot longer. Yeah. Well over 100 years.
Much more balanced approach to living.
Absolutely.
As an art. Yeah.
Well, and just a comment that in the chats, you'll see a link to the page for healing water in Germany at a place called Nordenau. So that's also available.
Very good.
Wonderful. And of course, politics and governance, lots of work to do there. Universal legislation that protects and nurtures nature and the environment, of course, understanding our place in the universe, understanding the importance of the environment and a balanced life involves nurturing nature and the environment globally. And of course, it's a high priority now. It's one of Maitreya's priorities. And so to bring that legislation forward will be a huge benefit. It's already being worked on.
Well, that's what's so interesting is most of what we're putting here as for the future, what we're going to see in the future, we can see it already starting.
Yes.
And that is so empowering to see that it's already underway. It's not something that's not visible anywhere.
It's in the works. Yeah.
The works, and Aquarian energy is building day by day. New political economic structure, social democracy. So
the places where we see this type of structure the most are the Scandinavian countries right now, and in Germany, Western Europe in general. What we see are forms of government in which you have democracy, but it's really focused on meeting the needs of the people. So we wouldn't call it socialism in the traditional sense of the word, but there's the social aspect, because healthcare, for example, is considered an absolute fundamental right. So all of these countries have public national health services, making healthcare available to everybody. So you see a different focus. The focus is not on an economic process of earning more and more all the time, though, of course, you have healthy economies, but the focus is on providing services to the public, to people.
Right. It will be a combination of socialism and capitalism. And it will be a nice balance between the two. The socialism will provide a safety net for everybody, so that everybody, as Sabina said, will have health care and a home and an education and so on. Well, how can we afford to pay for an education and books and college for all these people? Well, I'll tell you how. What's going to happen when there's peace, and it's coming sooner than you think, when there's peace, all those trillions of dollars that's in the militaries around the world are going to be made available to use to build this safety net for people, the socialism part of society, where the government provides basic needs for people. I mean, we have a lot of it now in America. You know, we have food stamps, and we have the post office, and we have the library system, and all the police and all the fire. All of this, Medicare, Social Security, it's all social programs. And so we have some of it already, and it's going to expand. And then the capitalism part of it is, if you want a better car, you can go get a job and earn some more money and buy a better car. So it's a social democracy. It combines both beautifully. I think the master said the ideal balance is 70% socialism, 30% capitalism. And we're going to see that. That'll become the standard government in countries around the world. The symbol for that was reuniting East and West Germany. That's the symbol. West Germany, the capitalism, the capitalistic part, and East Germany, the socialistic part, uniting the two, very symbolic for the way it's going to go around the world.
Wow. And so all political groups will tend to the center, none of these extreme, much more balanced, like you said, right? And also dictatorships, elected governments in the Middle East, no more sheiks or emirs.
Yeah, remember, individuality is losing its power now in the Aquarian age. So we're going to have elected governments. The people, the masters have said, and our information is that the people, the everyday people, will run the world from now on as time goes on. It won't be these individual leaders. It'll be the people. And if we don't like our leader, we'll kick them out.
Right, and we're already seeing in some Middle Eastern countries, we're seeing a lot of uprising on the part of people, regular
Yes.
people. Look at that campaign for women to have the right to drive in Saudi Arabia.
I love it.
Yeah, I think now they do have the right. So, people are really pushing ahead.
Aquarian energy supports these groups. Yeah.
In Latin America, land will be redistributed to the people. Again, we were talking about representing the needs of the people, redistribution of power, not to the individual, again, to the group. So we will see that.
That'll have to happen in Spain as well, because I believe Spain still has a lot of remnants of the feudal system in terms of land ownership. So we've seen that already shift, for example, England, France, many other places, but some places it still hasn't. Oh,
sure.
National and cultural identities will remain. Again, we were talking about nations having identity, but working in a unified approach, maintaining their culture, but with no barriers, so the barriers would be removed. And here, no passports needed to travel.
Exactly.
And we already see a start on that in the European Union with the Schengen zone, right? You can travel freely amongst all the European Union countries, no passports needed.
A lot of people are worried about a world government, a one world government. Will the United Nations take over the world as the government? No, 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 no. The masters have said our information is that each nation is very important. Each nation has its own personality and its own contributions to make to the whole. So just like each person does. And so the nations will not go away. They'll all be there. They'll all be important.
And even regions within countries. I mean, there are many countries where you have movements within the country because there's a particular group, a particular ethnic group or language group that says, we don't feel represented. These kinds of issues will be resolved because the level of representation will change. There will be a genuine desire and work to make sure people are represented and have their own voice and can speak for themselves.
And as Dick was saying, the UN will be central debating, law-giving forum for all nations, and the legal matters will be governed by international law. And we were going to say about the oceans, I think that'll be one of the key.
Exactly. One of the key legal matters that needs international law are the oceans and the seas of the world. Who can do what where? That will be regulated like it's not right now, and it needs to be, so that we take care of our planet.
I'm thinking maybe we should jump to our transmission meditation section now, since it's 1 o'clock or 12.
I think we can move quickly through this. Let's try and move a little more quickly.
Well, we should look at economics. It's also need a lot of change there, and the blind following of market forces will give way to enlightened and fair consideration for the needs of all. So again, not representing the people, the economy is representing a very few people, making them
Right.
very wealthy. So, and everyone's following those forces blindly. Now things will shift to the needs of all, that human dignity is taken as a priority over greed and development. And world stock market crash followed by a complete change in the economic system.
Well, we've
So,
seen numerous stock market crashes, haven't we? I mean, there was the big
We
one.
have, but not all the way down like this one will be.
No,
Not all the way, but most of the way down. Yeah. And that's what we were talking about earlier, that money is God right now. And when the market collapses, money will no longer be God. And these leaders of the world's governments are going to look around and say, what do we do now? There's no money. And then that'd be a perfect time for the teachers to step forward and say, we have some ideas, so this is part of the plan. The masters aren't going to make the market crash. We will, through our greed and so on. But yeah, we should probably move on.
rational, sustainable economics based on sufficiency. So not this idea of overconsumption and greed. It's sufficient to live. So all the needs are met. There is sufficiency, but no excess. And we'll find actually that takes less energy to maintain a sufficient lifestyle. An abundant lifestyle takes more energy and effort to protect and to worry about and so on. And so the economics will be based that everyone will be based on a sufficient living,
And Benjamin
which is not
Krem has
restrained.
Benjamin Krem has said that an economic system that only works for some isn't really working. Our chat show host just posted that in the chat.
Yeah. And transfer of resources, this is what I was talking about earlier, from military to civilian production will create many jobs and make a lot of money available for the needs of the people. Okay. What's next?
Cooperation.
Cooperation. Oh, we mentioned that earlier. Yeah, we're going to move from competition to cooperation as a society. You're going to see sporting events change. There's going to be a lot more emphasis on team than on individuals, and cooperation will replace competition. This deadly competition that causes so many problems now is going to be slowly but surely replaced by people working together. All right, what's next, Tim?
All right. We wanted to comment on Maitreya about sharing the world's resources as far as economy and moving into the age of Aquarius to meet the needs of everybody. Key is sharing the world's resources.
Yes, and we're not talking about people giving up their life savings. They're not going to force us to do anything like that. We're talking about nations sharing the excess production that they do. Instead of saving it on the side until they get the right price for it, they'll share it with countries that need that production. And in return, they'll get back what that country needs to help them that they don't produce enough of. And so it will create a balance around the world of the world's resources. And so everybody will have enough not only to survive, but to live well. And it will be a huge barter system, probably monitored by the United Nations, so a special department of the United Nations, the sharing department.
The sharing department.
So yeah, so it'll be about sharing. It'll be less about profit and more about taking care of each other.
And John has just put something in the chat about how Benjamin Krem said, if 2/3 of the world's population are living in poverty, then the economic system doesn't work. And if we think they will go on without asking that it work for them, then we are sorely out of step with reality. And I think that's a good point, because we, that is the rich countries of the world, have relied on the fact that the poor countries don't have any power. And so that's how the rich countries have maintained this system. But as people have a beginning of being able to use their voices and speak up and start to do so, that is really going to shift.
Yes,
Very good point.
Yeah, and sorry, I forgot what I was going to say.
About,
Yeah. Only through humanity can the divine plan work out. This is so critical. Can the masters just wave a magic wand and make everything okay? Sure, but they're not going to. Why? Because of God's laws. The big law here is the law of karma. As you sow, so shall you reap. It's also, the scientists know it as action and reaction. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Humanity made the mess of this planet and of life on this planet. So we're the ones that have to clean it up. We're the ones that have to make the necessary changes to get things back in line with God's plan, with the divine plan. The masters know the divine plan, and they're going to tell us what we need to do to get back on the plan, and then we have to decide for ourselves if we want to participate in that or not. But it's only through humanity itself that all these changes that we've been talking about, this brilliant, wonderful, loving future for humanity can happen. You know, one of God's laws is the law of equilibrium, balance. And what that law says is that however messy things have been and negative things have been in the past, to that exact degree, they can be wonderful and beautiful and loving and peaceful in the future, and will be. That's the law of balance, the law of equilibrium. And so Maitreya says, he said, I know your choice and I am glad. He knows that we're going to choose wisely ultimately and create this brilliant, wonderful future for humanity. Let's go through this quickly. New buildings will be different shapes because the shapes with the master's guidance will be to focus energies. And eventually humanity will build using the science of sound. By the way, that's how the pyramids were built, according to the ageless wisdom, was with the science of sound. And they were built long before we think they were. Transportation will be silent and apparently motionless. Travel fatigue will disappear. You'll feel just as refreshed when you get to your destination as you did when you started. There'll be a new technology, the technology of light. It's going to combine the magnetic grid of planet Earth with the sun's energy. We're going to be given this science by our space brothers and sisters. We will discover how to neutralize toxic waste, stockpiles of nuclear weapons. Not only that, but it will provide all the energy needed for all of the consumerism in the world forever. And part of it will be using cold fusion, not fission, splitting atoms, but simple fusion using basic isotopes of water to create all this power for the future of humanity.
In a very safe way, right? Yeah.
Very safe, free of charge, and available to everyone. Nobody can get a copyright on it, or it's available to everybody.
That'll make such a difference if there's no monopoly on energy.
And machines will free humanity up. We see robots doing a lot of, for example, automobile assembly now. Well, it'll be that way in all these drudgery jobs. Machines will take over all of this mindless work that humanity is stuck doing just so they can pay the rent. Those days are going to go away, and people are going to have a lot more leisure time. They're going to have the social safety net, so they don't have to work 50 hours, 60, 70 hours a week just to live. And they'll be able to do things. We're going to talk about leisure time in a minute here. What's next? Living conditions. Here we go. Tranquility and peace. Yeah.
Living as freedom and sense of joy.
Yeah, joy. There's very little joy in the world today. And it's overdue. You know, joy comes from the heart, from the soul. It comes from inside. It's not like a good joke makes you happy. That's not joy. Joy comes from inside, and we're short on that right now. That's going to change.
Well, and it makes sense because people are so burdened by drudgery, as you were saying, that just to pay the rent. You don't have time or space for joy. You try to find the time and space, but you know, it's pretty difficult.
Those days are over. They don't know they're done, but they're done. Everyone will become creative in their own way. Maybe not the arts, maybe something else, but creative in their own way, because we're going to have time to get creative. This one's really important.
Family will gain importance as a basic unit of society. Very key. Family suffered a lot in our systems.
Totally.
It's not a priority. Everything is geared to separating the family, causing trouble, sort of sucks the life force out of the family unit.
Yes. And the psychology of the soul will be the basis of all education. The soul will become very important in humanity's evolution. For example, the science of psychology, which is kind of right now, it's kind of a science and an art. psychology as a science can't move forward until we start involving the soul. And the masters are going to show us how to do that, because everybody has a different personality and it all contributes to the makeup of the soul that decided for this lifetime. And that's got to be part of psychology as well as for education. Like I said earlier, right now we have an educational system built to teach people a career. And that's all it does. Well, what we're going to do, what it should be doing, is teaching people how to live, how to have a life. And careers will become less important because the need for money will become less. And so the education will start to teach people how to live a good life, regardless of your belief system.
And you can see how difficult it is to teach people, or it's not really teaching, but kindness is something innate in people, but it's so hard to have an emphasis on that when everybody is in a competition with everybody else.
Yes.
Because of our economic systems. So these things are really tied together. Once our economic system is no longer based on competition, we'll have space and time for ourselves individually and also in our families, in our schools, to inculcate the values that are really important for life, for living a good life, as you said, Dick.
Yeah. The media will have a responsible role in education. They do now. The media more and more is educating the public, especially online, seminars and webinars and so on. Well, it's going to become more so. Slums will be replaced. These huge cities are too big. The Age of Wisdom says the cities will slowly get smaller and the slums will be torn down and replaced by parkland and housing for everybody. So we're going to see the cities change and become a lot more livable. A simpler style of living will become the norm. Not needy. People won't be without their needs being met. It'll just be simpler. It won't be as complicated. And that'll just become the way it is.
And we're already seeing some cities moving towards putting in parkland in cities. A lot of greening of cities is taking place.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Increased leisure will allow the flowering of skills, talents, and greater participation in community. Yes, people will be able to develop their spiritual side. They'll be able to have time to meditate. They'll develop their skills and their talents. They'll get creative, and they can participate more in their community, and that includes community government. There'll be a national government taking care of national needs, and there'll be local government taking care of the local needs, because the national government doesn't know the needs of people in this corner of the country, but their local government does. And so both are necessary, and people will be able to participate. We're going to have more teachers and farmers in the government instead of just lawyers, and people who want to be a dictator. So, and that's going to lead to a new reverence for all levels of, there's the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, and the spiritual kingdom. Those are the kingdoms. And each kingdom contributes to the kingdom above it. The mineral kingdom feeds the plant kingdom. The plant kingdom feeds the animal kingdom. The animal kingdom, we owe our human physical bodies to the animal kingdom, has helped the human kingdom. And then when we're done with the human kingdom, we go to the spiritual kingdom. We will gain a new reverence. Humanity is responsible for all the kingdoms below us. And we have done a poor job of caretaking for these kingdoms. And Sabina was talking earlier about our relationship with the animal kingdom. And we need to, all of this will show greater respect and love and consideration for all kingdoms. Animals will become more friendly. They won't all want to eat us. I mean, it's just going to change so much you can't even imagine.
Wonderful. And
these are the books we talked about earlier.
These are the books we were talking about. If you want to know more about some of this information, these are great. They're available for free download. And of course, if you enjoy the meditation that you do with us here today, there is a book on transmission meditation, which is great. You can get all of those on share-ecart.com for books and downloads. Also, there's more information on the website, shareinternational.org, and also the YouTube channel, Share International YouTube channel. Great lectures and information there as well.
By the way, I was kidding when I said all the animals want to eat us. Of course they don't. We all know that. I was just having
It's
Well,
just
some
a
of them
joke.
are, yeah, some of them are vegetarian. too.
That's right. A lot of them are. No, I was just kidding. Okay.
So, and also there is a magazine if you're interested as well. You can always you can go to shareecart.com to get subscription information. There's no advertising. It's all wonderful articles on new innovations. There's always a message from the master in it. Great developments in the world. Yeah,
The latest on Maitreya's emergence into the world.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. It ties together the information about the masters and Maitreya with current events in the world. Gives you
It does
both.
a beautiful job of it too. And it's a beautiful, high quality magazine. Monthly. Yeah.
Monthly
Right.
magazine.
And we'd also like to mention this because next weekend we won't be doing this program. Instead, if you'd like to tune in, there's a webinar from Share International Live. This is part of a series called The Imperative of Change Towards a Sane and Just World. And next week's edition of this webinar series is Towards a Global Sharing Economy. It's about exactly the things we've been talking about. Can our broken system based on competition, commercialization, and environmental destruction be fixed? So we invite you to join and watch that next week, and you can submit questions as well, which they will try to answer if there's time permitting. And we will post.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, I
This
was
is
just going
based
to
in
say,
Amsterdam. It's free of charge. And I'll tell you, these are really wonderful webinars. And I know the people that are going to be involved in this one. And you guys are in for a real treat. You're going to get some great information about global sharing and about the economy now and in the future. It's going to be really good.
and we'll put a link up on Share International Canada's Facebook page so that you can register for it.
Wonderful. Well, we'll just talk a bit about transmission meditation before we do it. So we hope you can join us for that. Transmission meditation is it's very simple to do. It's very powerful. It's done in a group. You need 3 or more to do it. It's free, of course, never costs anything. It's a service meditation. So it's a way to help the world. And that's what's part of its power, is that it's service as well as your own growth and meditation. So it mixes 2 types of yoga, karma yoga and laya yoga. So our chakras in our energy system are used to transmit energy, and it's in working in cooperation with the masters of wisdom. So when we were talking about all these great energies that are entering the planet for the age of Aquarius, and also healing energies, cosmic energies, solar energies, these energies are very potent, and for the most part, they bounce off everybody's back. But in the process of transmission meditation, you step down the energies. So the energies are stepped down and work through your chakra system so that they can be usable for everyone. Just like high powerful electricity gets transformed in a transformer down to a little outlet that you can plug in and actually use. The same idea with these great powerful energies. So that's the service part of transmission meditation. You get to make those available by willing to work with the masters of wisdom for everyone to use those energies. It's safe, it's scientific. These masters of wisdom are master scientists. They know all the energies, all the potencies. They can look in your chakra system, know exactly how much to send through your system. You don't have to direct it anywhere. The masters of wisdom know exactly where to send it. You might actually interfere with that by trying to send it in a different direction. So you don't have to do that. It's actually very simple that way. And it'll be this is the meditation for the whole age. Everything in the universe does a transmission of sorts, but this will be the meditation for the age of Aquarius and the future.
Yeah, if I might add just a couple of things that you were talking about, how we don't want to send the energy anywhere. You may think you know where the energy is needed, but you don't know which energy is being put through you right now. Is it the energy of peace, or is it equilibrium, or is it healing energy? We don't know. The masters, like Tim said, they're the master scientists. They know exactly what energies are needed where in the world. And so let them do all the work. Let them send these energies out where they're needed. We just focus here between the eyebrows at the Ajna Center, and that makes our chakras available to the masters. That's the service. They put this energy through our chakras. They know how much energy each person's chakras can handle because, like Tim said, they see our light. and they put that energy through our chakras, and then they send it out into the world, and it's much more easily absorbed by humanity. The masters have told Benjamin Creme before he passed away that this experiment is working very, very well, and that we're going to be doing transmission for a long time. This is your chance to get in on the ground floor. You know, you'll be doing this in every lifetime when you come back, so you may as well get started now.
And as we say, it's non-denominational. You don't need to believe in anything to do transmission meditation. It just works.
It's like gravity. It works whether you believe in it or not.
That's right. You don't need to believe in Maitreya or the masters to do this meditation. If you just follow the steps, it'll work. You'll be doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll do about a half-hour meditation. Like Dig said, all you have to do is sit comfortably with the spine straight. Keep your focus here between the eyebrows at the ajna center. When your attention drops, you think the word Om in your mind silently, and your attention will come back up to this point here.
Yeah, not the middle of your forehead, down between the eyebrows. That's where the ajna center chakra is located.
And one more thing to mention is that during this pandemic time, people can't go and meet each other as they used to meditate together,
Right.
since it's a group meditation. So now what people have started to do is to link up using technology. Many people are using Zoom to connect with each other and meditate together, each person in their own home. And this also facilitates people joining who are in far-flung places. So regardless of where you are in the world, you can connect with a transmission group using this method, Zoom. And so our chat show host, John, he will put links up in the chat for the different days of the week and the actual Zoom links so that you can connect with these groups. And it's a powerful way to connect, to feel part of a group.
Now, if your attention drops, and you'll know it drops because your head will drop, or if you're looking straight ahead with your eyes closed, all of a sudden you'll be looking at the floor. That means your attention has dropped down to your solar plexus. You don't want it there. You want to bring it back up, and how you bring it back up is by thinking, not saying. That's audible. That's a whole different energy. By thinking Om, Om, like that. Om. You think it a couple times, and with practice, that your attention will just snap right back up to the ajna center. You don't meditate on Om. You just use it to bring your attention back when your attention is dropped. And that's all you have to do, is focus here and use Om to bring it back and let the masters do the work. And if you're somebody who feels energies, boy, are you going to feel them. It's really noticeable, especially certain energies.
Yeah, and you don't need to feel the energies to know that you're meditating.
I'm evidence of that, because I don't feel much of anything. But I'm told lots happening. So, so I do it anyway.
Right.
All right. So I will, if it's okay with you guys, I'll go ahead and say the great invocation.
Great.
Absolutely. I'll set
this invocation before you start, because it gets the attention of the masters, and it lets them know that your transmission group is about to start, and they can start sending the energies through your chakras and out into the world. So you say the great invocation first.
And we do it in unison, right? Normally we would do it in unison.
As a group, you would do it in unison. That's correct.
If you were
pause about 5 seconds or so between each verse, because there's a visualization. And if you get the book on transmission meditation, which you can download free, it talks about how to visualize, what the visualization is for each verse. So we allow a little time for that. So here we go.
So what Tim and I will do is we will mute our microphones and we will each say it as well. And we invite all of you to say it wherever you are, along with Dick. He'll be the only one whose voice we hear.
Perfect.
And I'll set the timer.
Sure. All right. So sit with your back straight so your chakras are aligned, looking straight ahead. When you get done with the great invocation, you'll just close your eyes and focus at the ajna center between the eyebrows. Begin. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. may Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
And that was transmission meditation. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, and you can start your own group using Zoom to link up, or just linking up at the same time without seeing each other. The master has said that combination of energy linking up mentally works. So until we get the go ahead, here in California, we can't do that until June 15th. Then we can start meeting in person again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dick, for being here today. And
Oh, well, you're welcome. I want to thank you both so much for including me in this wonderful broadcast. You guys do wonderful work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thanks for being
And
here. And
thanks.
thanks everybody.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
And for your wonderful questions.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
wonderful.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.